Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Hanging with the Hoopers podcast, or today I should probably say Hanging with the Hooper because it's just Andrew. Tim is somewhere on the road meeting with clients, but I'm joined by two very, very special guests, more than just professionals in our industry. I consider both of these wonderful women to be friends in the industry, and they bring so much value to everyone they touch. And so I'm thrilled to be joined by Angela and Toni from Capital Bank. And ladies, you both are coming out to sponsor our Energize Conference in January for, I think, the third year in a row, our third one. So welcome to the podcast. I'm glad you're here today.
Excited to be
Thanks,
here.
Andrew. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So Angela, where are you coming to us from in the world?
Currently I am in Nashville, Tennessee, but my mind is in Hawaii.
Love it. Love it. That's a great state of mind to be in. Toni, what about you? Where are you at?
I am from Charlotte, North Carolina, just a little town outside of it. But today I'm reporting here from New Orleans from the LLTA conference.
Nice. Awesome. You both get on the road so much for all the associations, all the conferences. You're always traveling. And I think you said New Orleans. I think you said it right. I think that's the correct way to say it.
Yeah,
Right?
it is a special tone to it, I believe.
For sure. For sure. Well, you guys are coming out for Energize, and we're going to get to that later in the podcast. I want to talk about why you're coming and why you like to join us in the Mid-Atlantic, and why we're thankful to have you. But before we get to that, I'd love folks just to get to know both of you a little bit better, and your backgrounds. Kind of been with Capital Bank. Like, what was your journey to get there? What do the industry and title and all this fun stuff. So, Toni, let's start with you, and then we'll come back to Angela. So how did you fall into the wonderful world of banking and of course, servicing the title industry?
That's a funny story, Andrea. We don't have enough time for all of that, but I'll give the brief version. I started, my best friend's father in high school owned a title company because we don't just wake up, right, and say we're going to get into title.
Never.
But he owned a title company. She said, Dad, my friend Toni types super fast. So went to work for him right out of high school. And, it just proves that, it's just a great industry to get into. You can be successful without a college degree. And then just kind of evolved from there to different title companies, technology companies, underwriting. I've kind of worn all the hats, had the opportunity to meet Angela on the road and not just become a coworker, but my really good friends and a lot of amazing friends in the industry. It's kind of more of a family than it is going to work. And the last, Angela reached out and said, hey, you want to come work with me at the bank? We'll be an amazing team. And here I am today and just absolutely love what I'm doing and being able to use all of my experience to support our customers.
It's awesome. It's a very diverse journey sometimes to land in this industry, but you know what they say, once you're in it, you never leave. So,
No, you're here to stay, and it's been 40 years. So
yeah, that's awesome. Angela, what about you? What was your journey getting into what you're doing? And before I say that, Angela, you were one of the first people when I joined the title industry. My brother, Tim, was like, you got to talk to Angela. She's a connector. She knows everybody in and around Maryland. You're going to be in Maryland. You need to know her. So you were one of the first meetings I had about 5 years ago when I joined the title industry. But tell us your background, your story, and how you got into it.
Remember that meeting? It was at Sunday Morning Bakehouse.
Yep.
And
Rockville, right?
Tim brought me some amazing, I think it was chai tea or was it hot cocoa? I think it was chai.
The little glass things, right?
Yes. That I believe his beautiful wife had made. So I remember it. I have one of those crazy memories. So my adventure in title is not quite as long as Toni's. I'm going to throw this out for our industry because I worked in an industry prior to this that essentially ended overnight for me. And I was just like, what am I going to do? Therefore, that's why I am such a champion of TIPAC and getting involved and supporting our industry. So I sold Yellow Page advertising, if anyone actually remembers those, for several years. And so I was actually, speaking of LinkedIn, I was approached by a recruiter on LinkedIn, and they had a meeting. And I ended up going to work for Require Real Estate Solutions. I was with them for several years, and the bank reached out to me back in 2018. So I always tell everyone I'm a title industry person first and a banker second. Very loyal. I think that my dad worked for General Motors his entire life and retired. My mother worked for the Social Security Administration. So the fact that I had to leave the industry I was in and start over. So this is my last industry.
I love it. I love it. Well, you've done amazing in this industry, and both of you have been wonderful, not only as like partners to us when we need to make recommendations as an underwriter, but to all of our wonderful agents across the region who utilize your services. In getting, because you both have come from different backgrounds, so in getting into banking, I guess what's been the biggest maybe aha or lesson learned since getting into the banking side of the title industry, right? What's the biggest aha? Where have your biggest learnings, or like, man, this is something I didn't quite know before I got into this, and it's been crazy to learn. So whoever wants to go first.
Toni, do you want to start? You want me to kick it off?
Sure, I'll start out. I think the one thing that really took me by surprise is I knew wire fraud was as bad as it was and check fraud. I didn't know quite as bad as it was until I got down and deep into it and started working on the banking side and just seeing how people can manipulate the system and just how important it is to really be on top of those wire instructions, making sure you know who you're sending it to, using positive pay. I didn't realize exactly how important that was in today's market. They're saying that there's a universal key for all the mailboxes, so they can go in and take out those checks and wash them and try to redeposit it. We're just seeing so much of that. So just how important to pay attention, fraud and positive pay. Didn't realize, that was definitely a learning for me.
Yeah, that's great. Angela, what about you?
Me, my aha moment was the importance of having a personal relationship with your banker and with the team, and for them to truly understand and look at everything holistically. I didn't really realize I was going to be a consultant, for other aspects of the business as well. I actually love it and appreciate it. I've certainly learned a lot about our lending side and what we do to help small businesses through SBA programs we have. I've learned way more about CNI lending. So it's been awesome to be able to help clients actually purchase their buildings that they're currently working out of using. So it's more of a holistic. I love being able to, it just help in any way that I can. And so,
Become a
but
true
the
partner.
aha for me was wow, I can't believe that other bankers don't actually answer their phone all the time or they're not accessible. So that for me was a bit of a surprise, to be honest.
Yeah. And when you need things with money movement, coming from a former banker, I've worked at 12 years in banking before coming to the title industry. Money movement stuff is critical, right? And if you got to be able to get a hold of somebody, especially if you're dealing with a suspected wire fraud case or, checks being stolen. And you're right, like positive pay in the industry as a whole is like just a non-negotiable now, right? Like any check you issue, like you need to have it in there, and it won't get paid if it's not, right? So like that's the key. And then your Angela, what you're talking about, the holistic approach of, hey, you want to buy your building because you've been renting for years and now it's going up for sale. Financing options, being able to connect them to the right partner in the bank who can help them get that done. Like there's so many avenues in banking to help folks. So you become that trusted advisor. It's awesome.
Right.
That's
And
exactly
like
what we say.
speaking of Andrew, in terms of the holistic approach but even the positive pay, it's funny because people will say, well, my underwriter says that I need to have positive pay on my accounts. They don't really necessarily always truly understand the intricacies of positive pay. And not all positive pay is the same at every banking
Mm.
institution. So what Toni was mentioning regarding the actual, universally keyed mailboxes in the US and the washing of the checks, the fraudsters have gotten really good. Like they wash just now the actual payee name. Not
Mm.
all banks check a payee name match. Some just are looking for the date, the check number, and the amount. So it's really important that everyone understands that, hey, does my institution actually check the payee name too? Because those are the ones we're seeing come through more now than in the past,
Yeah, it's super
or
important.
try to come through, I should say.
And just to like clarify what happens from my perspective of being like a retail branch manager for years, like if someone comes in with a check that's been issued on positive pay and they're trying to cash it, which is what most fraudsters will try to do when they wash a check, which means they erase the ink and they kind of put their name on there, or they manipulate it in some way. Think, what's that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio where he's doing that and going around the world, like,
Catch
right?
Me If You Can.
Catch Me If You Can. So when people try to come into the bank and do that, when the check is on positive pay, it's a banking system that the check will be in and run through and say, hey, you need to verify XXXX and that the payee's name is this, right? And so what Angela's saying is, if your bank who runs your positive pay is not submitting the names with that batch that gets uploaded into that system, it may not pop up at Chase or Bank of America or Wells or wherever they're trying to cash the check, or if they're going into a Capital Bank and trying to cash it, it may not pop up and say the payee's name is X. And so it's an important thing to clarify with your bank, for sure, that they're submitting the names, right? And if not, you know who to talk to, these two lovely ladies right here. Toni, would you add anything to that?
Yeah, it just really important to be on top of that. And you nailed it before when you said trusted advisor. That's what we are here. We become our agents and customers' trusted advisor to be able to help them, not just in banking, but in what's going to help them succeed. So if we don't have a resource, we know somebody who to call.
Yeah.
We always say together we grow. It only benefits us for our clients to be successful. And there's nothing, and Andrew, I know that you and Tim both are the same way. There's nothing more exciting than watching someone you've been working with, like, achieve their dreams, their goals. It's not just the work. It's literally
It's rewarding.
Watching others' success and knowing that you were able to somehow help in any small little way, because they did the heavy lifting. Let's be honest. They took the risk. They're doing all of the things, the sleepless nights. But if we can alleviate anything off their plate, so that they can do what they enjoy, going back to like Yellow Pages, I used to ask a question during, a discovery needs analysis, which is, who's your most favorable client and who's your most profitable? They're not always the same. And ideally, I wanted to be able to get them to where they could pick and choose who they did business with, that they didn't have to take on a client that they didn't want to because they were desperate to keep their business going, And I think that kind of is the same in our industry.
Right? Yeah, like we Tim and I take people through that whole segment, your database, right? Like your A clients who do good business with you, but are also good to work with. They're true partners, right? And then in the bottom category, it's like you might have people that send you good business, but every file is a problem file, and every they're always yelling at your team and beating your team up, and it's not doing anyone any good from a mental standpoint to work with this person. That's what I love, like you said, helping people get to a point where they can pull a Harvey from Suits and fire the client, right? Like, we're not going to do business with you anymore. It's nice. I mean, Toni, anything you'd add to that equation? I mean, I think it's rewarding in this industry when you're part of the village that helps our title companies and our title partners succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Just helping agents work on their business instead of in their business, and helping them grow and be our true partner is really important to us. And it just warms my heart when people call back and say, "Oh my gosh, you just made my life so easy because you showed me how to push this button." So it just really makes you warm and fuzzy and feels a sense of accomplishment for our customers.
Yeah. And I from a service standpoint and a solution standpoint, hitting on that, like, y'all are crushing it. But I want to pivot into, because this, Tim and I talk a lot about leadership, and from our backgrounds in leading teams and the critical importance with small businesses and medium-sized businesses we support, leadership plays a crucial role. So in your years of business and industry, and even in other industries, like, what are the most valuable, like, one or two leadership lessons each of you have learned as you really lead your teams and then influence your internal stakeholders, but also influence business owners and industry leaders, right, in title? What do you think, one or two leadership insights that y'all can share with the audience?
And take this one, Angela, start.
I've been talking a lot. I thought I'd let Toni go, but I'm happy to go. So for me, it is a very, very simple. And I think I said this last year, and I say it all the time, and I say it to my children, and just do what you say you're going to do. Like, I don't care what it is that you say you're going to do, just do it. And I think that when you lead by that example with your team, if you say that you're going to have a meeting at 10 a.m., then have the meeting at 10 a.m. You can't expect your team to necessarily be there ready to go and energized and excited if you aren't. So I think that for me, it's just that simple phrase, do what you say you're going to do. And in addition to that, make decisions based on what's best long term, and to really kind of think about those and not make those hasty decisions that you can't back out of necessarily. And I'm thinking of some specific, don't ever compromise your values, your morals,
And it can be
because
tough, right?
like,
It can be tough in a
because
down market.
it's not worth it to, it's not worth giving up a coin, when you're losing the entire kingdom of gold, right?
Very well said. Very well said. And the pressures, right? There's a lot of gray space in this industry, right? And it's important. And there are a lot of, I mean, we've seen it around just locally in the Mid-Atlantic, other places where certain entities kind of get on the wrong side of the coin, right? When it comes to the type of business they're doing or what their business practices. And yeah, those pressures when you're leading a team, when the market's down, when the bottom line is not everything you want it to be. I love that. You got to stay true to your North Star, right? You got to stay true to that the principles, the things that help businesses sustain long term and have that vision of, like, I wouldn't say like it's a vision of truth, it's a vision of growth, it's a vision of people first, but also like doing the right thing, right? So
Why give up the kingdom for a handful of gold?
it's good. It's good. Toni, what's your leadership?
For me, it's the why. Understand why you're doing what you're doing and have an open mind. So we are an industry that does not like change, and we tend to just do things the way that we are used to doing it. So open to technology, open to change. We're in a slower market right now. It's a great opportunity to analyze your business, check out where you have extra expenditures. Are you paying bank fees? This is a time to revisit those relationships. A lot of people are working from home. Does it make sense to get rid of an office and just be remote fully? Do you really need that office? And really look inside your business and see how you can be more efficient. Come up with a plan to implement that. Because, we do things, and this is where we'll get to this, but I know Energize is so important. It just gives you a rejuvenation of what's going on and looking in that market. It's changing, right? If we're not looking, you had mentioned, Angela, your yellow pages. If we're not looking forward, we're going to get left behind. And, with the changes in title insurance, with the opinions of title, and with legislation in front of us that's really trying to diminish our industry and not realize the whole benefits, we really need to be creative and come up with a plan to look forward and not behind.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. The ability to pivot, the ability to be flexible. One of my favorite quotes is, if you bend, you won't break. And, you can't become too rigid in how you go about things. You have to be constantly innovating and looking for not really like the next flashy thing, but where's the industry as a whole moving, right? Like the next generation of realtor, the next generation of lender, the next generation of title agency owner, like where are they innovating and shaking it up? And you can't just stay doing the same thing over and over and expecting business growth to happen if it's not happening for you, right? So speaking of that, Toni, you gave a perfect segue into Energize. So I want to say Capital Bank, when we were thinking about doing the inaugural event 3 years ago, I want to say y'all were like one of the very first people that were like, yes, we're all in, we'll sponsor. So thank you
We
for
were.
that. And you've
That's my
been here
memory.
yeah. So you've been here every year since. So Angela, let's come back to you and then we'll come to Toni. But like, what about Energize? Y'all have been there. Y'all have felt the energy. It's January, right? Cold start of the year where most of us are still like crawling out of the holiday funk. That's why we do it in January, right? Let's get the year off to a good, strong start. But Angela, what about Energize makes you want to continue to come back and sponsor it? What have you enjoyed about it? And then we'll go to
For
Toni.
me, it's the relevant, meaningful, timely speakers. They're outside of the box. They're not the speakers that we hear, on a consistent, regular basis in our industry. The talent that you bring in is amazing. And, want to be able to take one or two things away from each person that I hear speak. So it carry it with me and also share that. That's one of the reasons that I also love Energize, is that being able to share that beginning of the year what I've learned with my agents. And, because they're not all in the Mid-Atlantic and don't have the opportunity to attend this amazing event. I know the first year I had an agent come from South Carolina, and it was very powerful for her. So I think I have some coming from out like further outside of the Mid-Atlantic as well this year. But for me, that's what it is. And it's also the collaboration. I mean, the FNF team in the Mid-Atlantic is so incredibly strong. Y'all work together so well. It's such a family. You roll up your sleeves and do everything for, that you're responsive to your agents, you're innovative. I love that you just were thinking out of the box. Nobody else was doing this. And I actually love that it's in January. Our schedules are so full. And so it's just a great way to start the year.
Yeah. Awesome. Toni, what about you?
Totally agree. It's a great way to start the year. People are starting to look and plan out their year, what their marketing's going to look like, what their business is going to look like for the year. And it gives you that energy. I mean, I walked out of there last time and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go back. I'm going to do this. I've got to reach out to my customers and give them these ideas. It was just the content was so unique from what we're used to in the past. And it gives us the opportunity to get out there. And as just we're so stale in what we do sometimes, just to refresh our business plan and figure out what's next for the year. Talking to customers, finding out what they're what they're experiencing in the marketplace. Where's the marketplace today for them, and what can we do to help them be more successful and partner with them. Meeting existing customers, it's a great way to get in front of them, as well as meeting new customers and finding out what keeps them up at night, what's keeping you up at night, and how can we help you move that forward. And as Angela said, I've known a lot of the folks in your team a very long time. They're great to work with. They're a great support. They're great with their agents. So I walk away there every time just refreshed, rejuvenated. So many ideas. You get to collaborate with the other agents that are there to be able to work together and find out what's success for them, and maybe success for somebody else as well.
Yeah. I mean, you both, I would just hit on it. Like, I'm thankful when you both mentioned the FNF team, incredible people. I mean, all incredible people that I'm blessed to be surrounded by every day. And so many people work so hard to make Energize. Of course, Tim and I had the vision. We kind of do some of this front facing promotion and stuff, but the team behind us that is building the sites and handling the registrations and getting everything paid and invoiced and all the stuff done. It's amazing what you can do when you have a great team behind you. And I know at Capital Bank, you all have a similar amazing team behind both of you that supports your clients. So, we're going to have your table. I know you're going to be heavily involved and be talking to a lot of people, but what do you hope? What do you hope some conversations are like with clients or prospective clients at Energize? Like, what conversations would you or questions would you like people to come up and ask y'all?
Just come in, have a conversation about their business. What does it look like today in their current landscape? What's their struggles? How can we help them? Are they looking for, or they have a lot of money that they're paying out in bank fees? Is their banker answering their phone? Do they work directly within their software? Just what can I do to help you? What keeps you up at night? And what can I help solve?
Love it. Angela, what would you add?
I'm going to keep mine simple. And I'm just going to say that I'm going to test some people on this one. And, I want to say that everything Toni said, absolutely. We want to be partners in your vision. So you need to share your vision with us. But what I'm going to ask is, I would love everyone to come up and tell me what their most memorable concert they ever attended was.
Love it. Very cool. Very cool. Can I answer mine now?
Absolutely. I love
Red
this.
Hot Chili Peppers.
That's a good one.
I won't ask what year, Andrew.
What year?
They toured last year.
It was last year. It was really, really good. Yeah. Yeah. And I haven't been to many concerts. So again, maybe my bar is low, but no, it was pretty epic.
They put on a great show. Actually, one of your agents in Maryland is a huge fan. Actually, I know two that are huge fans.
Well, you'll have to
I'll share
text me
their names with you offline.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, Toni, Angela, you both are great and appreciate both of you. Thank you for joining. We're so, again, thankful and thrilled to have you at Energize. So thanks for sharing your knowledge. Thanks for sharing your tidbits. Thanks for the connection. And I'll see you all next month at Energize.
We'll see you there.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Bye,
Thanks.
everyone.
Bye.